Joining me to wrap up today's show is a man that has a 16-0 record with 6 KOs. He goes by the nickname Hitman. He's coming off of a massive win this past weekend against DeMichael Harris, where he put on an absolute great performance that's none other than Haven Brady Jr. Haven, I appreciate you for taking time to come on today, man.
I appreciate it. You having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's get right to this. I just said you're coming off of an incredible performance, 189 all three scorecards. When you now reflect back on that fight, what's your thoughts on it?
Um, it was a great fight. He was a good opponent, tough opponent, and I feel like I showed a lot of versatile in the fight, and I showed a lot of different things in my bag, and I had fun.
When you reflect back on it, is there anything that you look at and say, you know what, I could have improved in this area, I could have got better at this area?
Definitely, that's always the case. It's a couple things I look back at watching the film, and I feel like I could have did better, or I could do better in the future. So next time coming out, I try to perfect those things and be the best person I can be.
All right. Well, I have to ask you about one sequence. It went pretty viral, but there was a sequence where the high step and different things along those lines. And all I can say is that it was quite familiar to the someone that you train with. That's Jerome Boots Ennis. I have to ask about that aspect. How much from him do you kind of take and implement into your game?
A lot. I watch him every day. He helped me out a lot. We help each other. That's my teammate. It's close friends. So, um, I look at a lot of things he do, and I don't think it's nothing that I got from him. We train with the same team. We got the same team.
Right.
So, a lot of similar things that we can talk the same. That we do alike because our styles. But it's just the thing. I just having fun. It came out. I feel like I've been had things like that in my bag and my arsenal. It was just I've been waiting on the time to actually do it to where I feel comfortable enough in a fight to try things and just have fun. So I think that Friday night that I showed a couple different things in my bag and show what I can do and have fun.
All right. So when you were getting ready to set yourself up, you did a high step, you did different moves around that round there. What was going through your mind? Why did you feel like at that moment in time you wanted to bring that out?
I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think at all. It just came out.
Okay.
I just going through the motion like. I mean, like in the fight, I always think, but I'm like, it ain't been like, okay, next round when he do this, I'm gonna do a high step. It's like just like I'm just flowing, just going with the flow. So that
Right.
was like that's why I said I knew I felt comfortable. There's no way in the world I thought I was gonna do a high step and spin mid fight. I'm never supposed to turn my back, but I was just feeling myself so good to where I spin. I knew like I was just so much of my rhythm now. I knew like I had his number, and I was just so comfortable. So.
Hmm. I think that that's spot on right there because I've seen quite a few of your fights before, but I feel like what you did on Friday night, you seemed very comfortable. It felt like obviously you had a lot of great performance, but you could make a good case that was probably your career best performance. It just felt like everything kind of came together for yourself. Would you say it's an accurate statement? Like, do you feel like everything kind of came together and that was a very complete, possibly even your best performance in your career?
Yes, yes, for sure. That definitely was the best performance of my career. And
Yeah.
I definitely think I put a lot of people on notice, and a lot of people have been giving me a lot of props, and a lot of people been saying those crazy things in there. So it ain't do nothing but motivate me, make me work harder, and just want next time to be better than I was and show more that I have in my arsenal. Because that's really I do stuff like that all the time in sparring, like have fun and
Right.
show out. It just just translate into the fight to where you just comfortable, because
Mm,
sparring is like it's no win or loss. Like you ain't worried about it. No fans, no that. So
right.
when you ready to translate what you do in the gym and sparring into the fight, I mean that's something serious. So I try to get that. I'm trying now. I try to get that same feeling I have every fight. So.
All right. Well, let's hop into your future now because you're 23 years old. You're 16-0, 6 KOs on your record, coming off a career best performance. A lot of people look at you now and say, okay, this is something that they want to see again. You had a very entertaining performance on Friday night. What's next? When can we see you back in the ring, do you think?
Definitely, maybe for sure one more time this year. I'm not sure. I gotta talk with my team and see what they think best for me and when they think will be the best time for me to get back in there.
When you talk about an outline for your career, obviously, like I said, you're 23 years old, still very young. You've got a lot of years left to be able to work yourself up. But when you talk about getting the rankings, then actually being a legitimate contender, when do you feel like this will be the time you start making that jump and saying, you know what, I'm ready to start pushing for a world championship?
Yes, I definitely think with this being the fifth year of my pro career, so with being 16-0, and having some good names on my resume and having a good kind of upbringing, I think it's the time is now for me to start fighting eighth world champion, some great contenders, and build my way up to the world title rankings.
Is there a timeline for yourself that when you look at it and you say, you know what, by this year, I feel like I'm going to be ready for a world championship type shot?
Um, Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, now I definitely think the time is. But when I first started, I never really, like when I first started, I thought it was gonna be quicker than I thought, but
Okay.
the boxing game not like that. So it's definitely longer than what I expected, but I feel like right now we are right on track, and I think some some big fights are ahead of me, and I think I'm ready.
All right, if everybody's on the table, obviously we know there's a business side of boxing, but if everybody is on the table, is there somebody that you would want that would make sense for yourself, obviously at this point in your career, to fight next? And if so, who would that be?
Um, it's quite a bit of it's quite a bit of names. Nobody really specifically. Like I don't know. Like whoever be in line and whoever be the best person to put me close to the title. I
Okay.
really don't know specifically what name that would be that would put the belt that I really want. The WBC. I feel like that's the biggest belt, and that I feel like that's the money belt. So for sure the WBC.
Okay.
But any belt will do.
All right. Well, I also want people to get to know you better because you've had a great run to get to this point, but I want to go all the way back. When you were growing up, was boxing something that you said, you know what, this is what I want to pursue, or when did you start to fall in love with the sport?
No. When I was growing up, boxing wasn't anything that I thought I'd be doing. Um, I started boxing at a young age, but I didn't actually start taking it serious until like high school, maybe to my
Okay.
11th, 12th grade years, so maybe like 15, 16, to where I said like this is something I'll be doing for the rest of my life. Like that was the time in my life where I said, okay, I know that this is my calling.
Hmm. What's interesting about that, though, I mean, you're talking junior, senior year of high school. You're still only 23 years old, so you've only really fully committed to sport than you'd say for about 6, 7-ish years for yourself. And I know you talked a little bit earlier. You obviously the boxing business is tricky. It's gone a little bit slower than you expected, but still, when you reflect on everything you've accomplished in this time span, is it kind of crazy looking back and seeing where you're at today in comparison of how quickly it's taken?
Yes, for sure. Definitely. I always look back at it and be like, wow, that's crazy because kind of how everything played out, like how my career happened, especially the start with me being with top rank, me
Hmm.
winning national, everything happened so fast. And I know how my commitment was when I first started. Like I was juggling basketball and boxing. So the the first year that I actually committed myself to boxing, I won 3 or 4 national championships. I beat some of the best people in the US. And
Right.
then almost the next year after that, I signed a contract with Top Rank, and it was kind of like just history from there. So it definitely happened fast, and I don't think it was luck at all. I definitely put a lot of hard work in, and I fell in love with the sport very, tremendously. So it definitely paying off now, and I feel like this is just the beginning. Like I feel like last fight really just introduced my name into some big names in boxing. So we got a lot coming up. So.
All right. So I want to ask you this question then. When you made that transition, like you said, basketball, boxing, you're juggling these different things. But when you made the decision that day and said, you know what, boxing is my calling, I'm going to pursue this sport. What was that day like, and why was that the decision you made? Why was boxing what you wanted to go all in on?
Um, because I thought it would be better. It'd be a better path to me and easier than basketball with my size in basketball and with the amount of people that try to pursue basketball and go to college and go overseas or go to the NBA. I feel like it's kind of like my odds was way better in
Hmm.
boxing, so I had to be realistic with myself and make the best choice.
All right. Well, let's go through your amateur career real quickly. You talked about it. You were a junior national Olympics gold medalist. You had an incredible career in terms of amateurs. When you reflect to that in 2019 and you're building yourself up, you have this great amateur run, you're becoming gold medalist. At that point, did you believe that you would become the fighter that you are today, or did that happen a little bit later on?
No, I always knew I'd be great because once I put my mind to something, and I know me, whatever I'm doing, I always want to be the best and
Okay.
have the best outcome as possible. So I know right when I put my mind to it and say this is what I want to do, that it will be a great outcome. I just didn't know, the route that I would go and how quickly it will come. And you always say I'm gonna be this person or be like this, but when it start happening and you really dare it still be kind of unreal.
Hmm. And that is a key point you made there too, because 18-year-old people were still young, pretty much still a kid in a lot of people's eyes there. And at that point, you're a pro fighter now. You're signing with Top Rank, which is one of the biggest promotions in all the world. Did everything at that point in time, like you said, obviously you're still learning to kind of fully give yourself all in on boxing. Was that just a lot of stuff that kind of came on your shoulders early on that was kind of difficult to balance at that point?
Um, it wasn't difficult to battle because I had a great team behind me, so
Right.
I had they led me to the right ways and make some of the best decisions. So it really wasn't too tricky, but it definitely made a big impact on where I stand now as a fighter.
When you made that jump from Top Rank to OTX, can you take us to the whole transition period and just what led to that and what led to that shift for yourself?
It was a great transition. Um, it was just a couple things that happened, and it kind of led me to be with overtime. But me and Tyrone still have a great relationship, and I think we it's still possible that we can do business in the future. But I love both promotions a lot, and they both helped me a lot in my career, and I feel like it's the sky's the limit.
When we reflect back at that time span, from what I remember now, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that obviously you had a different couple different situations. It kind of was a little bit of a weird split for a little bit, and obviously you're a little bit in not unknown man land for a little bit, and you end up falling with OTX, working your way up with them. When you were in that season of life, shifting between the two different promotions, was that a difficult point for yourself, or how'd you get through that?
Yes, it definitely was a difficult point in my career with just me turning pro, and actually I turned pro in the bubble. So with me, my first 3 4 fights being the bubble, and then being with them, they go about things a little different,
Yeah,
and then switching to a different promoter, and they kind of do things different. So, you get used to one promoter, and then you go to another one, and things are way a lot different. With OTX starting too.
right.
It's like I went to a brand new promotion, but they do a great job, and I'm definitely grateful for them. So it was definitely like a lot of tricky things in there, and I had a lot of things I had to get used to.
Right. Can you elaborate on OTX boxing real quickly? Because from the outside looking in, I feel like it's a very strong promotional group. I feel like they have a bright future in terms of what they do and how they take care of their fighters, so on and so forth. You get firsthand experience into that. What's it like being a part of OTX?
It's a great thing being with them. They really take care of their fighters. They love their fighters. And they're a great promotion. I think they're gonna do great things. We're doing great things now, and I feel like soon in the next couple of years, I feel like it'll be one of the biggest and best promotions out there.
All right, I like that. I also want to ask about your relation with Ennis. Obviously, your trainer and coach is Bozy. I want to ask about him. How did you get to know him, and what brought you in a relationship with him?
Um, my coach before them, a couple coaches before them, we used to go down to Philly and spar at the gym and things like that, and I kind of fell in love with them, and I like how they did things and how they ran it, like the style that they had.
Right,
So after a couple fights, we kind of just rekindled back together, and I feel like it's just been up since then. I feel like I feel like I have the one of the best team in boxing, and we have a great relationship with each other, and we all get along. it's a gym full of killers. So uh,
Can I ask you about this aspect because I feel like it's so critical for boxers to find the right group around them. Obviously, Bomac and this long list I got Robert Garcia. So many great trainers are out there, but find the right style for yourself. For example, we just talked about in the beginning the way you have those different sequences with the high step and all those things. Not a lot of boxers can do that. Someone like Bozy obviously knows how to teach it because we see in Boots Ennis, we see it in yourself now. How much have you guys just kind of clicked? Would you say from the time you guys got to know each other? How has that relationship just grown because of your styles and how they kind of intertwine with each other?
um, I definitely think like your team and your surroundings is a big enhancement on your career and how and your upbringing and things like that. So it's like what they say: if you hang around 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. You know what I mean? So I feel
Right.
like if you hang around a great team and successful people and people that are doing great things and boxing, I feel like it's kind of it's only right that you be next. So that's being around a great team and being around them, they definitely impacted me a lot. Watching them, watching how he handle camps, how he prepare himself and things like that. But from day one we always connected. Like it was one of those things, like it kind of like I didn't. It was nothing I had to force. Like the relationship was from day one. It was just a great connection.
Mm,
And based on my style, my work ethic, and you know, and like how I carry myself, we kind of like bonded.
all
So
right.
it just great things came out of that.
So what makes Bozy so special? Because his resume, the guys that fight underneath him, you guys all have great records, and obviously we know Boots Ennis, one of the best fighters in all boxing right now. What makes Bozy so special in the way he approaches training camps, the way he gets you guys ready? Just what makes him so special?
Um, I feel like number one is the biggest is whatever he I I say that he's instead of coach he's a teacher because whatever he tell us and whatever he teach us he can still do it. So
Mm,
with him just saying it, he can actually get in there and still show us and even get in there and do it on people and things like that. So that's just secondhand like super good. When you can actually tell somebody something, when you actually can sit right there and show them the same thing too, rather than just tell them something over and over and over again.
right. If you reflect back now on all your different times with Bozy and Boots Ennis, what would you say is your favorite memory?
Uh, the first link up, or I'll probably say probably my last fight.
All right. What about it made it so special?
'Cause I just feel like I kind of introduced myself a lot to a lot of people that didn't know me, and uh, he tell me all the time like just be comfortable, and be yourself, and be relaxed. And I think like a Friday I actually really did that, and I've been with them for like 3 years, and I'm sparring some great people, and I always look super dominant in the gym. And my past fight, I look good, but Friday, I think I just took it to a different level, and I've been that person, and I've been like that, and it been in me, but it's just not coming out. So it was just like one of those moments, like she's like it's coming out, and like it just introduced a lot of people to me, and so I feel like that just opened the door for a lot of big fights and a lot of big things in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I got a couple questions before I let you go. One of which is you go by the nickname Hitman. What's the story behind that? How'd you get that nickname?
Um, my dad, um, my dad just kind of came up with it. Like I was just in the amateurs, I was just fighting, and and it kind of just one of those things that just felt like he like dang like I was what cause, amateurs I had a lot of stoppages. So then it was kind of one of those things like, man, who's gonna call you the hitman? And then it kind of just stuck with me since.
Gotcha. Well, I got one final question for you, Haven. It's the question I like wrapping up every interview with, and that's talking about your legacy. Obviously, you're still young, 23 years old. You got a bright future ahead of yourself. But when you do put down the gloves one day in the future, what do you want to be remembered for what you have accomplished both inside and outside of that ring?
Um, I just want to be remembered as a hardworking and a very versatile individual and person, and be able to adjust to any situation and still remain humble and remain on top.
Love it. Well, Haven, I appreciate you for taking time to come on in, man. I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you next, man.
I definitely I definitely appreciate you having me.
Of course. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
All right, you too.